The first one was a $25 ad, and we made $5,000 in the first day on a $25 ad. I was like, that's awesome. And they're like, we thought it was a fluke. So we tested it again. And we tested it again. They're like, what's your bank account? We're sending you some money.
Masculinity recovery program for women. Like, you got to recover from that state
Yes.
to reclaim back your natural state.
I'd rather live on the street and eat out of a trash can than not do what I want to do every single day.
It's so much more powerful and so much more easy. And like, just trust me. I was like, well, I want to trust, but I have never seen it in my life. And then we had a conversation. I'm like, that's it. I saw one person who did it that way.
It's possible.
It is possible.
I would just go deep within myself and ask myself the really big questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What am I? What's the purpose? What's this all about? And I get a call from Nike out of nowhere. I did nothing. Life's got your back. And I love that feeling. If you can get into the feeling of that, it's not a knowing.
Yeah, it's not the thinking.
It's the feeling.
Hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is Galina Lipina, and I help people create harmony with themselves, with their relationships, and achieve their goals with ease and flow. And today, I have my dear friend Misty on my show because she's one of the people that inspires me. And the reason I asked her to join me on this interview is the way that she runs her business inspires me. The way that she runs her life inspires me. I don't want to ask her a bunch of questions and share it with a bunch of people. So here we go.
Wonderful.
So Misty, why don't you share a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm from the United States. I live in Mexico. That was part of me following my dream and what I wanted to do. I left the United States about 14 years ago to follow my bliss and do what made me, happy. And in the meantime, I've been a dancer my whole life. Like, I've danced since I was little, but I'm not a professionally trained dancer, but I've just had this deep inner passion. It's like the Dharma, the thing that we all, like, that was the thing I was born to do. And as I got older, I was teaching fitness so I could dance and get paid. And then I was trying to follow the regular life of being a dancer, but realized that's a short-lived career. And you have to work really, really hard. And I didn't have the training for it, but I knew I was a dancer. And I was working full-time job in California. I was actually very unhealthy and toxic. I hated myself. I didn't know who I was. I was bulimic, trying to be something that I wasn't, could never measure up to the perfection of what I was supposed to look like or be. And about 15 years ago, I had a really massive, powerful shift in my consciousness. And at that point, I quit my job because I realized I was good at my job, but I was like, there's more. There's got to be more than this. And it made me question everything, this shift in my consciousness. And so I quit my job and didn't know what I was going to do. I went bankrupt. I lost everything and didn't know how I was going to pay my rent, lost my car. And in California, not having a car is not okay. And I literally got into a deep practice of meditation. I would just sit and on a big chair like this every day, and sometimes for up to 8 hours. And I would just go deep within myself and ask myself the really big questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What am I? What's the purpose? What's this all about? And it got me really clear I started basically the way I pray or the way I talk to whatever created me was, you made me as a dancer. I don't want to do anything but dance. So you better show me exactly what I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to do it, and make it so obvious that there's no doubt in my mind. Because I tend to not trust myself, most people. Yeah. And you get ideas, but you're like, no, there's no. And I was just like, make it so obvious that there's no doubt in my mind that what I'm supposed to do, because I'd rather live on the street and eat out of a trash can than not do what I want to do every single day. And this is an important thing, I think, even for some people, is that I found the thing I was willing to die for. And I was willing to die to do what I wanted to do every day and live my life on my terms and my way. And within a couple of weeks, I was for my own therapy, I would go to a dance studio that was, like the gym that I worked at during the day. There were no classes. So I would go in there and I'd put music on and I would just let myself dance, just literally go into a trance and get lost in music. And during these moments of me completely, what I think is atonement, I was aligned with my creative self. Mm-hmm. I received massive downloads of information. And this is where this whole dance concept that I created, which is called the groove method, the whole methodology came to me in just a pow. And I saw the vision of me teaching it all around the world. I saw my master trainers. I saw the method. And it was so big that I instantly went into fear and doubt, because I was like, there's no way. There's no way. Like, how I'm one person, no one knows who I am. And
so what did you do with that fear?
Well, fortunately, with this fear, because I started to question, I was like, really, how's this possible? Like, and two things. One, it was like, I don't believe that we are given visions as a tease. I don't think God or whatever created us is teasing us and going, here's the carrot, but you're never going to get it. And I'm never going to give you the means to create it, but I'm just going to keep making you think and hope for it. Mm-hmm. So I kind of figured, like, during my meditations, I realized that life loves me and life wants to give me what I want. I just have to allow it. And then this next phase of it was just that I heard this deep voice inside of me that said, have faith. Trust that I've given you this for a reason, and this is what you're born to do. And
you did.
And I did. And I trusted it. I've never wavered from it. And it's led me and it's taken care of me. And so now I've got two businesses. I've got one that's called the World Groove Movement. And that's where I have teachers all around the world in 55 countries that teach my method and provide this experience all around. And then I have another business that's an app where you can dance with me online. So it's taken care of me and allowed me to see the world. And the vision I had, what I've experienced is even better than the vision. It blows my mind. It's like, sometimes I have to pinch myself and go, oh, this is amazing. And the more I trust it, and actually, weirdly enough, the less I try, the more successful I am.
See, like, that's the topic. That's the topic. That's why we're talking here today. Because when we knew each other, how many years do we know each other now?
I don't know. 5, 6 years.
6 years. And when I came here to Mexico, I think it was a year ago that we had that chat. And you're going to tell me how your business started and how it came from an idea and then how everything came to you. And at a time in my life, I was kind of working on integrating the two worldviews that I was trying to merge. One is I'm creator of my life, and two is I want to be in my feminine. But I still want to have intentions, but I want to have it come to me. And most people that I know created their businesses from the masculine way, what I call masculine way. You set the intention, you work hard, you go and you overcome and you persevere, and then you have it. Yours was completely opposite.
Completely opposite.
And I was dating a guy at a time, and he's like, Galina, trust me, the moment you are in your feminine, you can really integrate it. It's so much more powerful and so much more easy. And like, just trust me. I was like, well, I want to trust, but I have never seen it in my life. And then we had a conversation. I'm like, that's it. I saw one person who did it that way.
It's possible.
It is possible. So tell me, how was that from your standpoint? Because you were in your job and you were unhappy and you were clearly that's not what you wanted to do. You didn't know what you want. You made a command. You'd better show me.
Yeah.
And then you still did a lot. Meditated, danced, like you really put in the action, not the kind of action that most people think about.
Exactly. I wasn't there hustling and trying to make money and trying to figure it out. I never tried to figure it out.
Yeah.
That's one thing, is it was like, I want
to go inside your mind. Like, how did you think? Like, how did you get from being in that job that you did not like to, it's like, no, I better figure it out and I better get the answer, meditating, getting a vision, trusting it, and then we'll even talk about what it took afterwards. But like, what was going through your mind and how did you get through all of this, at least to the point of like, yeah, that's what I'm creating? Walk us through it.
Well, the thing is it's like when that voice came to me that you just need to trust, like, I was like, okay, well then you better, like, this is when it was like, show me, like, you better guide me because I have no idea. And this is what's so magical, is that I knew, being a dancer, I knew that I had to dance. I knew that that was my connection to source. Meditation, yes, but dance is more powerful for me because I'm in my creative. And so it's like that intuitive voice that we all have inside of us, and you don't really hear it if you don't create the space for it. And so this is especially for women out there, is you have to create some form of practices in your life that connect you to your intuition. And I believe men have it too, we all have it.
Yeah.
But something that is non-resistant, that allows you to just get lost in what you're doing. And I always think art is some of the best things to do. Being in nature is powerful, you know, meditation, dance, anything that gets you in that. And it was fascinating because I was just kept being told, dance, 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 dance.
Clear.
And it was so clear. So I would just go and dance every day. Like I would dance for an hour, 2, 3, and then I would go salsa dancing. I was just dancing all the time. And this is what's crazy. So I quit my job. This all happened within a couple weeks period of time. Within several days. So I still don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent.
That's the level of trust and faith, by the way.
But I knew, this is the thing that people don't get. I knew I would rather die than, I would really seriously rather pitch a tent on the street and be free than be a slave to anything or anyone. So since I was clear on that, I knew I couldn't get it wrong. And if I got thrown out of my apartment, I just was like, you know what? I'm scared, but life loves me and it's going to work out. So within, I would say about another week later, this is the most magical thing. As I'm wondering, okay, how's this all going to come about? I get a call from Nike out of nowhere. I did nothing. I didn't go pursue anything. I didn't do anything. I get a call from Nike and they're like, we are looking for female fitness athletes because we're just now launching our women's fitness clothing and we need female fitness people, not tennis players or anything. And I was a fitness professional. I was an aerobics instructor. And they said, we've heard your name came up, someone recommended you. And so can we come? And I was still teaching classes. I had quit my full-time job, but I was teaching a few classes a week because I still love to teach. And they're like, we'd like to come and take your class and see how it goes. And I was like, okay. I mean, out of nowhere. Like, this is how it's been for me from the beginning.
Love it. So
they showed up at my class. There was 8 people from corporate. Afterwards, they signed me. I was with them for 7 years. And this was the thing, is that was exactly those 7 years, they flew me around the world and put me in front of massive audiences everywhere to teach this whole groove thing that was coming through me. They're like, here, we love what you're doing. This is cool. No one else is doing this. This is this great idea. So I literally had an open, and during the time that I was out there just traveling the world and teaching, people that I was teaching, like this is another thing. I've never looked for an employee. I've never looked for anyone to work for me. I've never sought any of it out. They've all just I am the attractor factor. And this is when you're in your bliss, when you're in your dharma, when you're in what you know you're supposed to be doing. I just think it's like you're a magnet. And I would sit in meditation and be like, I'm an irresistible magnet for the people that love what I do. And my meditations, I love being surrounded by people that love what I do and want to support me and believe in what I'm doing, because I know that what I do helps people deeply. And everywhere I taught, people would come up to me afterwards and be like, you have to teach me how to do this. You have to show me how to do this. And I was like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Okay. So then it was just then my whole training system came about, and and that came too from a download. My whole manual, I was like, oh, I need to write a manual now. How am I going to do that? I couldn't sit and try to figure that out. It just came as a download. I was like, this is first step, second step. This is how you teach it. This is how you're going to teach other people how to do it. And it was just so as far as my brain, and I love that you talk the masculine and the feminine, is my work before. I managed 500 people. I was so masculine. I remember my friend of mine, one of my best girlfriends, she's like, Misty, you got a bigger dick than your boyfriend. I was so masculine. Like I really was. I was go, you got to work hard. I was working 70 hours a week. I was doing the grind. And when I realized, no, that's going to kill me. That is going to kill me. Slow and painful death is what that is. And so turning to just the things that made me feel good, like dance and meditation, and gave me peace, everything just started to arrive. Like the only effort I had to do was get on a plane. And then I was taken care of and show up and teach, and all the people that wanted to teach. And that's where now we're in 55 countries because of the thing with Nike. And I didn't have to do anything. That's the thing. And it's just following. And it's also my intuition, like trusting, like really tuning in. And when I know I need to talk to someone and start a conversation, you know?
So you did take action, but it was more like inspired action.
Yes.
It was the action that you were pulled to take.
Yes.
Beautiful. I love it. It's life work in mysterious ways sometimes. And in your story, it's like that level of trust. Like, how did you know that this job will take you around the world and connect you with all the people that are yours?
Nope. Flying in complete faith. I trusted. I knew. And I think that's what's important, is that people need to understand the first layer is getting really clear on what you want to create, what inspirations or what visions come to you. Because again, I don't think that's for nothing.
So what helped you get there? Because I know I myself end up in that place, and so many people are in that place where like we think we don't know what we want. Or like what I think I want is like, yeah, sure, I can create this goal, but like, no, I feel like there's something deeper, but I don't know what it is. So what would you say to people like that?
Well, first, because it's up here. That's the problem, is that you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to think it through. What am I going to do? And that's how I was when I was in the masculine, is I was always thinking of like, what's the next step? What am I going to do? How I got to figure this out. Like, and it's about going in that every single person actually does know. We do know. It's just that it's creating, like I said, the space, the practices that tune you in to what that is, tunes you into your intuition, tunes you into your creativity, and it will be shown to you. And deeply, it's just maybe so big and so scary that you're afraid to actually go, this is really what I want to be doing. Instead of, I want to create a business, no, I want to create it. And then you're thinking how you're going to create the business. And it's like, no, what is your gut telling you that your purpose on this planet is? And I knew my purpose was to dance, but it was like, okay, well then you better show me what to do. Cause I'm not a businesswoman. I don't know anything about business. Like now I've got 2 global companies. But again, I don't even run my own companies.
That is another fascinating thing. Like you're part of your story about your 2 business partners, part of your story of the team coming to you and building stuff. Tell us more about that.
Well, it's just been like magical. So it first started with the World Groove Movement, which was me around the world teaching, gathering instructors. And like the money didn't come at first. The money came with Nike, but that was enough for me to actually start to like build the website and all of this. But I still didn't know. I had a girl show up that goes, hey, I want to help you. I know all about this. I'll do it for you. And it wasn't that it was all peaches and roses, because this first girl that I partnered with tried to steal my business, right? She trademarked it in her name. Oh no, she did. She put all my copyright for all of my methodology in her name. No, it was like, all under, like, while I was traveling the world, she was back building the business.
Wow.
And thank God it didn't destroy my trust in people.
But obviously it did not get stolen because you still have it.
Well, right. But it took me a year I had to fight to get it back. But even it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Of course.
And it made me, it was dark and it was ugly, but I needed to go through that dark night.
What was the main gift out of that for you?
The main gift of that is that I realized it is mine. No one else will ever own it. that I need to stand on my own 2 feet and take charge and never let anyone change the purity of what has been given to me, because she was trying to change it and turn it into something else. And everyone else was like, this isn't, like when they would take her class, they're like, this isn't the same thing. This isn't what, this feels like a fitness class instead of like a connected, amazing dance experience. And so I just got really clear that this is mine. And part of when it happened, I was just like, I got mad at God. I was like, how's this possible? You gave me this. Like, it was so clear that you just like, here, Misty, this is your method. This is what you're supposed to do. And how could someone take it? And this voice again said to me, nothing that is yours will be taken from you. And again, magic falls from the sky. Like, thank you, God. It just so happened that my cousin's father, who I don't know, because it's not by blood, it's her father, was the #1 trademark attorney in Los Angeles for the Screen Actors Guild, and then was teaching trademark law at Loyola Marymount. He was a professor of trademark law, and he said, she called him up and she's like, you have to help Misty. I had no money. I had nothing. She had taken all my money, everything. I had nothing. And she just called her dad and she's like, you need to help Misty. And he's like, okay, whatever you say. Took him a year. And he said, this would have cost you $500,000. If you would have had to pay me to do what I did, it would have cost you $500,000. Because she lived in Canada. I would have had to, no, it was, and he got it all back. He got everything back. And he got it so she had to pay me a license fee to teach my method, because she changed it and created her own company out of my method. Yeah. And so she had to pay a license fee to me. Beautiful. No, it was like everything came. And then I started with a clean slate, and I knew, and then I got even more clear and attracted even more amazing people that I could trust and have helped me build the business. That's just the one business. That's the World Groove Movement. So now I have a team of amazing women that one runs my education. My sister, actually, she works for me personally, and she runs the back end of my business. And she's like, she's my ace poon coon. Like, she's just like, but the other business, this was even more magical.
So before we go there, one of the things I want to highlight is the theme. I start seeing the theme. Like, what got you here? Faith, trust. Like, so many people can say, it's like, oh, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Some of us, like, I had the experiences like, shit, that too. And then I would like, yep, that's the best thing that ever happened to me. I'll figure out later why. So that trust and like integrated knowing. Like, it's not just like you think it, like you are being it. And it's the part of you, it's who you are. And I love talking to people who are being what they're speaking. So my
pleasure.
So now let's talk about your other business.
Yeah, and like even like what you said, it's like things don't happen to you if you really understand that it's happening for you. Yeah. And that, like my motto, life loves me. Life does not want me to fail. Life wants to give me everything. And that is my motto. Like, I even had that written on my wall. Like, to know that at my core level, when I sit in meditation, it feels so good to know that life loves me. Life loves to shower in abundance upon me everything I want and desire. And when you know that, because I look at it like a parent, like whatever created you, like your parents want you to have the best life. They want to give you everything. Whatever created you loves you at that level. It's part of you, and it is you, and it wants you to thrive, but it's not going to do it for you. But you have to, it'll help you, and it'll guide you and provide everything that you need, but you have to provide the space for the allowance of it to happen. Yeah.
What would you recommend for people who's like, oh yeah, life takes care of me, and then something happens, it's like, no, it doesn't. Like, people who don't have that strong of a faith as you do, what would you say to them? Like, what would be the way for them to be able to shift in that certainty, that knowingness, without a doubt?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Well, I always think it's like, you're here now, and you're okay. So something's got your back through the whole thing. through the ups and the downs and the dark. And it's not always going to be a smooth sail, and you don't want it to be.
Right.
Because you're not going to learn anything. So don't think that just because life gets hard, that life doesn't love you anymore. It's like, actually, no, it's like a parent. Like, you want your kids to learn the lessons so that they grow up as strong adults and they know how to manage their life. And I look at it the same way. I just look at it like an amazing, beautiful, loving parent that's going to let me make my mistakes, that's going to let me learn my lessons. But always, in anything, if you can look at anything in your life that's been horrific, it's brought you to this point, right here, right now. And right here, right now, you're okay. So something's got your back. Life's got your back. And this is how I look at it. Like, life's got my back. And just knowing that, another thing that's powerful for me is like when I would go into deep states of meditation and I would contemplate not who I was, but what I was. Like, how is this even possible? Like the actual miracle that this even exists. And I believe it exists by perfect design. There's a code. All you have to do is just go to DNA, and it's the most sophisticated code. It's code. It's freaking code. Like, if people can't, like, it blows my mind that, no, it just came out of a big bang and it all just a big soup splats together and we're here. Like, no. I can't, for me, because when you look into things, it's a code. So when you know it was all created, like when you realize that, and that what was I created for? Like, I'm a miracle, like that I can even exist and breathe and have this experience. And I really got to the point where I realized that this is a playground for us to explore who we are, but that whatever created it loves it and loves us. And I think pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice, right? But just don't think that just because you go through a hard time or you go through some pain or whatever, that, oh, life doesn't love me and, life's got her back but doesn't have mine. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. It has all of us. It's just the allowing and the trusting. And I think that's the part that is the hardest for people, is to trust that life's got your back. And I love that feeling. If you can get into the feeling of that, it's not a knowing.
Yeah, it's not the thinking.
It's the feeling. When you feel, and I recommend this for you at home, sit for a moment and generate the feeling of how good it feels. Like, if you can create your own feel-good statements, like, it feels so good to know that life's got my back. It feels so good to know that I'm not a mistake and that life wants me to succeed. It feels so good to know that life wants to give me everything I need. And when you can feel that, it feels so good to feel good. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you can feel it. And so when and learning that, I learned that emotion is the language of the universe, not your thoughts.
Yes.
Emotion, because that's the electromagnetic frequency of the language. And so when you start to learn these things and you start to utilize them, that's how I created my second business. Because my first business wasn't super profitable. I was just making barely enough to even just pay the people that were helping me build it. And so I started, this is where I came up with these statements, is, what's her name? Why can't I remember her name? Abraham Hicks. Okay. Abraham Hicks. So I was really weird about channeled information. I'm like, I'm not into channeling. That's a little, But I listened to one of her talking one time, and I couldn't deny that when she was speaking, my body was tingling. So when she would make these statements, I was like, and that for me is a resonance of a yes. That means there's truth.
You respond to it.
Right, because you resonate with the truth. Like, the truth resonates deeply in you. So I was like, there's something to this. Because I had watched The Secret years ago and all that, and the law of attraction, and I'm just going to dream about it and think about it and it's going to come, But the way that she taught it was this going into no resistance, and find the statements and find the things that you need to say so that you can actually, if you're angry or whatever, just keep lessening it so you have less resistance, And I'd been listening to her for a couple of years, but I never actually practiced. And this is another key, is that we have all this information, we have all these tools, we have all these keys, but if you don't actually put it into practice, it doesn't matter. And so finally one day, because I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do about money. And this was another thing. I was just like, I was always stressed about money. I never had money. Growing up. I had money working, but I was in debt. I was always living beyond my means. And then when I quit my job, when I worked for Nike, I made pretty good money, but that went into helping me try to build my business. And there was nothing left for me. I was paying people and there's nothing left for me. And I was like, this is not how I want to live. I'm dancing for a living and I'm getting by, but this is not how I want to get by. I want to build my dream home. I want to feel like I don't have to worry about money. Like I want that feeling of just like, I have enough for whatever I need. And so finally I was like, all right, I'm going to practice this. What have I got to lose? So every day I turned on Abraham Hicks and I would sit only for like 15 minutes and I would get that feeling of abundance and how good it felt to feel good. And I would, I would listen to, they would call them rants. Like she would go off on a rant and I would listen to her rants every day. And I would sit and I would feel it and it felt so good and I felt so open. Within 2 weeks, I don't know what this week and 2 week thing is, but this is where my second business came about. So I had filmed a DVD of a video of my dance thing way back when I lived in California, because these two guys that were making infomercials saw what I was doing. And they hated making infomercials. They're like, it's all lies. And they felt dirty doing it, but it paid their bills. They had found me and they're like, we want to make a video of what you do and we want to see if we can try to sell it. And I was like, cool. Yeah. So they pulled in every favor. Like, I think we spent like $5,000 making my first video. Everyone that was in the video did it for free. My nephew made my music, like everyone. Now keep in mind, this was 8 years before.
Yeah.
So this video, every year they did everything they could to try to sell it. They would call me every year and be like, we don't know. Nothing's moving, nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden,
8 years prior to this time that you're talking about Abraham Hicks, you met those guys and they're trying to sell it. Part of that story, freaking 8 years.
8 years.
B, they came to you.
They came to me. I didn't look for anybody.
Like, that just blows my mind.
And it does, like, so I mean, I've never chased or tried to make any of this happen. Like and it blows my mind too.
Yeah.
And the fact that something that happened 8 years before. So I would, every day I'd write a journal. I make $50,000 a month. And I was doing the journaling and the affirmations until I did the Abraham Hicks thing. And so this Abraham Hicks practice, and I would get what does she call it? I can't remember what she calls it, but it's like connecting with your higher self and letting your higher self guide you. They call me out of the blue.
In 2 weeks.
Within 2 weeks of starting doing this, they call me. They're like, are you sitting down? It's like, no. They're like, you probably want to sit down. I was like, why? They're like, well, we took a course on Facebook advertising last year. And we decided to take everything we learned about Facebook advertising and test it on the DVD that we recorded of you 8 years ago. And I was like, okay, cool. And they're like, well, the first one was a $25 ad, and we made $5,000 in the first day on a $25 ad. I was like, that's awesome. And they're like, we thought it was a fluke. So we tested it again. And we tested it again. They're like, what's your bank account? We're sending you some money. And I was like, I mean, just literally out of nowhere. And that is the business that has they've both exploded, but that business just has given me. And I do nothing. All I do is once or twice a year, I fly to California and film some videos. And they run else. And send me money. That's all they do. Like, I literally don't do anything other than show up and film, doing my bliss, creating content, dancing.
And then dance?
And then they just wire me money. And it's been the most, I've been able to build my dream home and do all the things and not have to worry about money and all of those feelings. And it blows my mind that when you actually put into practice the truth and what you know to be true, and once you learn these tools, I mean, that's the thing, is that we learn them, but we don't really
learn them, because we just learn them here, but we don't do anything with it. We don't practice. Like, we don't actually learn it. We theoretically understand them.
Theoretically understand them, yes.
And then when we learn it by doing and applying and tweaking it a little bit and applying it again until it becomes natural and part of you.
Exactly. And so that's, for me, is the key, is just create your practices that put you in the state that you need to be in. And magic, I call it magic literally happens. And I say these things to my creator. I'm just like, show me the magic. Blow my mind today at the magic of this life. And so like the most magical things will happen all the time, you know? And so you've got to have faith that whatever created you loves you, wants you to be successful. Have faith that you know deep down what you're supposed to do. Don't try to think about it. Like, feel it. Feel from your gut what it is that you're supposed to do. And however you need to create what I call the connection or relationship with what created you, whatever you need to do to create that unification, and let that guide you. Whatever practices, whatever it is, make it unique to yourself. Don't follow what anyone else does. Make it, like you said, test it, make it tweak it, make it your own, the way that it feels right for you. And fucking don't try so hard. Seriously, like, Jesus, don't try so hard. Don't work so hard.
Yeah.
That's not what we were born to do, is to just work hard and then die. Like, whatever created me is much more intelligent than I am.
I absolutely love it. Like, there's so many nuggets. Like, there's like this line of, you know, I can like see, like, you know, people seeing this video afterwards. There's like this like powerful corporate women who are just do. It's almost like a masculinity recovery program for women. Like, you got to recover from that state.
Yes.
To reclaim back your natural state, which is ease and flow and enjoyment of life and receiving, and not trying to go and get stuff, because that's how we were trained when we were young because of whatever in the childhood. And like reclaiming that state back. And there's also claiming, this is mine. I came here to be a dancer. This is mine. This is my business. It's not going away. It's mine. Like, there's that beautiful balance. I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and he's like, I hate the distinction of feminine and masculine because it just puts people in boxes and it's not helpful. And many people say, oh, I'm too masculine. And you actually just like deny the parts of yourself that's actually awesome. And in my conversation there was like, no, like, it's not bad or good. It's just like two opposite energies. They have to be in balance. And when we overdo one and underdo the other, it's like, you know, the house is tipping over. And finding the balance with fun, with joy. With your own unique gifts, with your own unique like signature of like who you are, why you came here, what pulls you, what inspires you.
What lights you up?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like the yellow, it's like the road to heaven those are the breadcrumbs, is the things that light you up and excite you. Follow those. And it doesn't mean don't take action. It doesn't mean don't work, but take inspired action.
Yeah.
Wait for yourself to be guided on what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it, and trust it. It doesn't mean that you're not going to work, but it's not working to the bone. And, you know, it's like, I probably work 10 hours a week, maybe. And it's because I want to.
If you can call it work.
If I can call it, yeah, exactly. Because
I went dancing tonight. Check.
Yeah. And I've narrowed it down to where like I barely even answer my emails. I have someone else that does it for me. Like I made a decision that I would rather make less money and have more time. So what I found is I find all the things I don't want to do, and I pay someone else to do.
Beautiful.
Because then it just frees up my time. And then there's someone that does it much better than me.
Yeah.
So why am I trying to? That's what I tried to do when the business was all coming to me, is I was trying to wear every hat.
Yeah.
I do the marketing and and it's just like, and then I don't want to do it anymore. Then you hate it. Then you're like, this is not fun. And you lose your zest. So it's finding the balance, and the masculine and the feminine, like you said, we're all of it. We're all of it.
Yep.
And it's just finding what you need to do, where there's action, inspired action, and also non-resistance, the feminine of just allowing. Just allow, you've got to create the space for the inspiration. You have to.
Yeah. There's a part that you also said earlier that like I absolutely love. Reminded me of Bashar. Like follow your excitement. There's give you a little tiny bit of story. There's one day I was working. It was busy. It was 10 p.m. I was not done. And I had a call with my best friend, and she's like, "What would you like to do?" I'm like, "It doesn't matter. I have to work." She's like, "No. I didn't tell you that you shouldn't work. I was asking, what would you like to do?" It took me a while to shift my brain in that mode. And I was like, you know what? Like, if I could just do anything right now, like, I would just go for a walk. She's like, why don't you just go for a walk? I was like, no, I'm busy. He's like, well, the busy is going to be there 10 minutes later. I'm like, good point. I got myself out of the house and I just started walking down the street, just walking. 5 minutes later, my mind cleared up. 10 minutes later, I got a solution to whatever work thing that I was trying to figure out. 15 minutes later, I got some new ideas and insights, and I got like 10 times more done for the next day.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, the whole thing about following your excitement, it works. And the analogy that he used, which is very similar to yours, it's like where that energy of excitement is, it's the breadcrumbs from your soul. It's like it just points. He's like, somewhere that way. No, not there. Yep, right around there. And every time I remember to do it, it works wonders. And then I magically forget.
But you see, when you do that, when you get away from the doing, and you go into the non-resistance, that's where the solutions come. Yeah. That's where the inspiration comes. That's right. It doesn't mean that you don't work, but it's like how much easier it is when you just like going for a long walk every day, like just that one thing, and just not trying to figure things out. Just walk and look and breathe, be present. And the answers come, the solutions come, the resolutions come. And it's so simple.
Yeah.
It's so simple.
Sometimes it seems too simple to work, but the most simplest thing usually work.
That's my whole method of dance, is that I make things ridiculously simple. I've simplified dance for people. And that's what I believe in anything. If anything is complicated, that means it's been overthought. It doesn't need any of that. Simplicity, was it Leonardo da Vinci said that? Simplicity is the something of sophistication, is the ultimate sophistication. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And I truly believe that. That's actually in my manual, because that's what we do. It's like, make things simple for people. Make it simple. And that's why go for a walk. It's not complicated. It's not. It's just not. Like, it's so simple.
Yeah. Ask a question. Follow your excitement. That's it.
Yeah. But do it.
Yeah.
Like, don't think about doing it. Don't hope that you're going to do it. Don't hope for the change. Do it. And this is the thing that I love. It's not, is it Brene Brown? It's not Brene Brown. The one that wrote the Eat, Love, Pray.
Elizabeth Gilbert?
I think that's her name. I think that, yeah. And listening to her talk is just like, no one's like, and that's part of my methodology too. No one's going to do it for you. And you're not going to want to do it. You're going to want to keep doing what you've always done. You're going to keep wanting to push and try to make things work. If you've got to learn the new way, and then you have to do it. You actually have to do it. And what's so crazy is it's actually easier if you do. But
do you have a program about that? If you don't, you should.
What? The just do it?
Teaching women how to create from that space.
I do
and
workshops.
Rewire all the things that bring us back to the other default wiring.
To the other default wiring.
Yeah.
Well, what I did is I started to create these called Groove in My Life, because my concept is called The Groove, and it's all about doing it your way.
Yes.
So I teach workshops from an hour to a whole weekend called Groove in My Life.
Beautiful.
So it's teaching you how to groove your life and creating your way. Like, I'm all about, this is the things that work for me, but that doesn't mean they're going to work for you. What you need to do is figure out your way.
Yeah.
Trust your way. Trust what comes to you. And that's the biggest thing, is that I want to see everyone groove in their life on your terms. You make the rules. You're the boss of you. And that was another thing I would claim, is that I am the boss of me. I'm the boss of me. No one else is the boss of me. I do what I want to do. And that's why even from my level, the way that I pray, like God, you better fucking tell me what to do. Like, I'm not like one of these that's like, oh, and I try to be all spiritual and try to have that. No, I have to be me.
Yeah.
And I'm a raw, like I'm a kind of an in your face. And so I'm like, why would I be different if I'm talking to my creator? Am I going to put on an act and try to be a spiritual? I was just like, that's just bogus. And I like, that's what drives me nuts when everyone has the same. And it's like, no. Find your way.
Yeah.
Your authentic way, the way that connects you authentically to whatever, and be true to yourself. It's so important to be true to yourself.
So where can people find you? And tell us a little bit about all the things that you do presently, that the gifts that you offer to the world.
To the world.
How can I get to receive them?
Okay. Well, it starts with number one, I want you to get your groove on, because learning how to move your body authentically your own way in a really simple way is super powerful. It's one of the greatest tools. So I have my app, that's bodygroove.com. And you can dance with me in the comfort of your home and see how simple it is to create that practice. So that's the app. The second is getgrooved.com. So that's where you can actually find, and this is what's awesome, is the communities of people that do this around the world, and you can take a live class and tap into a group of people that are all on this journey together and loving it. Also on Get Grooved, you can find I have retreats. I've got a retreat coming up in December here in Mexico.
Beautiful. On your property?
Some of it will be. All the parties will be at my property. Yeah, out in the jungle. It'll be amazing.
Magic.
Yes, and that's what it is. It's 10 days. I do them longer than a week because I think you need...
Takes time to unwind.
Yes.
Yep.
So I want to make sure that you have a good 7 days of solid immersion into just you and your bliss and connection and practices, developing your practices, these kinds of things. And then I have Groove in My Life workshops all the time. They're also on the calendar page on getgroove.com. But, you know, you can find me, Misty Tripoly, on Instagram and Facebook and all those things. But the best is to join for a live event.
Absolutely.
So I can get my hands on you.
You and many other people.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Well, Misty, it's been a pleasure to have you. It's getting dark. I'm just watching outside the window. It's like, oh yeah, it's sunset time.
It's starting to go down.
So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
For saying yes to this idea. I am excited to put this out to the world and have more people get the magic of how you live your life, how you create your life, how you inspire other people, and that frequency of that inspiration that they can take it through the camera and through the screen they're watching it right now, bring it into their life.
Amen. Just do it.
Here we go.
Thanks for having me. That was
My
awesome.
pleasure. That was amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
And cut.